Today we're going to be learning the nature of roots and the quadratic formula. These two are in combination of just the quadratic formulas, but we're going to be learning definitions first. So these are the 6 terms that we need to know. So let's just start with real and imaginary. What real means is basically if there is a positive number in the radicand. So a positive number needs to be in the radicand, or it can be a 0. Either way, that is what real means. And then for imaginary, it means if there is a negative number in the radicand, this would basically mean there is no real solution. And this one means there is a solution. And now for equal and unequal, by itself, of course, it means that there is 2 numbers that is of the same roots. And for unequal, it means different roots. This is seen at pretty much the end of when you finish solving your quadratic. It would be your final result in your little bracket things, whatever it may be. And then rational and irrational, I think you know what that means, since you should have learned it back in like elementary school. Just to summarize, it basically means that this can be a perfect square, or it can be, actually no, and it could be written as a fraction. But irrational can't be written as fraction. So these are basically what each of these 6 terms mean. And now I'm going to be showing you what they look like in quadratic. Next. So I'm not going to give like a deep step-by-step, since that is what Ivy is going to be teaching. But this down here is the quadratic formula. You basically put each term from this equation into what it will look like this. So I'm just going to set it up now. So x equals minus b, and in this case it is 8, and plus minus radicand 8 squared minus 4, and then a and c 3 negative 3 over 2 and a. So what we would do first is combine what is in the radicand and also multiply our invisible -1 with our 8, which would be -8 plus minus 100 over 6, because combine these as well. Now you notice that this is not only a perfect square, but also a real number. So this is real. That is part of it. And then this can be, again, it can be squared, as it will be 10. So this is rational. And now what we would do is separate them. So it would look like, well first, before we skip any steps, it would initially turned from this to this, and now I'm just going to use this space up here, and now we separate this, so it would look like x equals minus 8 plus 10 over 6, and this would give us 2 over 6, but it can be simplified by dividing 2 on both the numerator and denominator to be 1/3, and then again, because I said we have to split because of our plus and minus sign, this would be negative 8 minus 10 over 6. This would give us negative 18 over 6, and it can be simplified to just being negative 3. Now I'm just going to write both of these numbers into our bracket, and this is considered unequal. So our, like, I guess, sequence would be real, unequal, and rational, like that. Because again, we have a positive in our radicand. It is also a perfect square, and our final answer is our two numbers are unequal to each other. Next. And this is a second example. Again, I'm going to put it into a quadratic formula. So I should write this smaller. Fine. Again, we combine what's in the radicand, and we also combine what else we can. So be negative 2 plus minus radicand. This would be 72 over 2. And this, again, is real. But in order to simplify it, we would have to find two numbers that equal to 72, because it is not, it cannot be squared normally. So it would be 36 and 2. 36 can be squared to 6. So therefore this section, this entire section, so just squared, is irrational. And we would turn, and now I'm just gonna make it look more clean with whatever we have so far. So this would turn into x equals minus 2 plus minus 6 radicand 2 over 2. So this is what it would look like now. And again, we would have to split it. So I'm going to do it up here. It would be x equals negative not negative 1. Sorry. Negative, wait, no, we can divide. We can divide, so like 2 divided by negative 2 and 2 divided by 6, so it can be negative 1 plus minus 3 over 2, since, it can go into these two numbers, but the 2 would just stay the same. And now we can split it into two different equations, which would now be x equals negative 1 plus 3 radicand 2, which would go, no, we can't do that yet. x equals -1, take away 3, radicand 2. But we can't simplify this anymore, so this would be our answer. Um, and this would also be considered unequal because of the signs. So in this case, it would be real. It's horrible handwriting, sorry. Real, unequal, and irrational. Yeah. So that would be like your sequence. Now Ivy is going to give you a more in-depth version of how quadratics are answered.
Okay, so now that Caitlin taught you that, we're going to do the quadratic equation. So let's just rewrite this. 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. So we want to still remember the original equation that we follow, which is right here. So basically our 4 is going to be our A, our B is going to be 4 as well, and our C is going to be 1. So now we just want to plug in these numbers into the quadratic equation, which is right here. So x equals, keep the negative sign, b is 4, so we'll put b in front of that, plus or minus radical, and put in parentheses, so 4 squared minus 4a times c, which is 1. And then that's all over 2a. So that would be 2 times 4. So let's just solve this out little by little. So we'll just bring down the negative 4, plus or minus. 4 squared gives you 16. Negative 4 times positive 4 gives you negative 8. So it's essentially 16 minus 8, which will give you 8. So you put 8 in here. If you're confused, we got the 16 from 4 squared. And then we multiplied 4 times 4. Oh, sorry, 4 times 4, which gives you 8. So 16 minus 16 gives you 0. All over 8. So we'll just bring that, we can simplify this. So 4 and 8, got negative 1, 2, plus or minus. Radical 0 is just 0. So plus or minus wouldn't really matter in this situation because it would just give you negative 1/2. So yeah, this is your x value, which is the unknown. Let's do the next example. Same thing, we'll just rewrite it. X squared minus 3x plus 7 equals 0. We know our A, we know our B, we know our C according to this over here. So x, negative b, negative, and our b is negative 3. So we'll put that in parentheses, plus or minus radical. We'll put our b in again, which is negative 3 squared, minus 4ac, so 4, or a would be 1, because there's always an imaginary, well, invisible 1 here. So put that. And then our c, which is 7, all over 2a, which is 2, 1. So we'll just bring it all down. So negative 3 times negative 1 gives you 3, plus or minus. So negative 3 times negative 3 gives you 9, minus 4 times 7, which gives you 28. all over 2. We'll rewrite that again over here. 3 plus or minus 9 minus 28 gives you negative 19. But you're not allowed to have a negative in a radical. So this would be unreal. So what we do is use imaginary numbers. So we use I as our imaginary. So I is equal to, well, the most common one that we use is I squared, which gives you negative 1. So normally we would use x equals 3 plus or minus radical 19i, or I radical 19, whichever way works. So this would be your final answer. Okay, so pause the video and this is your turn. You can also always email us if you have any questions and if you want to go over anything. And that's it for today's lesson. So I hope you enjoyed it and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.